Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're launching one of our marketing webinars. And today we wanted to share with you how to promote your company in today's job market, because we've been getting a lot of questions about this in the last months. I think everyone kind of knows why. So we wanted to share a bit of our insights and knowledge about it. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we kick this off. Everyone will be muted. At the bottom of your screen, you'll have a section, an option to open a chat window where you can ask a question. So please do type your questions anytime. We'll have the time in the end to answer those questions, and we'll be very happy to go through those. Right, let's kick this off. So today, myself and Elizabeth, both partners at Gravity Marketing, will be sharing with you a little bit of our knowledge. We've been in the business for a while. Elizabeth with the career in more in communication and marketing, responsible for hundreds of clients' content and communication strategy, from ideation to actually getting it out of the door and making sure that it generates the results that it expects. Myself working more into digital marketing, sales development, working with customers to grow their businesses. And we thought it would be useful to have this conversation today because of what our customers and small, medium companies, and even big companies, to be honest, are facing around the globe, which is like, well, there's a few questions they ask themselves. I think the first one we're going to try to answer today is, where did everyone go? And I'm passing this to Elizabeth.
Thank you, Anna. So we've heard different terms for this. We've heard the Great Resignation. We've heard labor shortage. Those two things don't really sound like they go together. If there is a Great Resignation, why is there a labor shortage? So just want to walk through setting the stage of what we've seen and heard and read about the current workforce. So first of all, there are lots of job openings. There are more job openings than there are candidates to fill them. And that most likely is due to the fact that with the Great Resignation, people are leaving and may not be staying in their career. They may be changing their careers, the industries they're working in. We also have a lot of businesses who had to let go employees during the start and thick of the COVID pandemic. And so they have either pivoted their business or they're reopening their businesses, and they are starting to see signs of growth as well. And so they are now looking to add to the workforce, or they're adding to their staff. So whether they're replacing positions that they had to shrink down to pivot, or they are growing again and their customers are coming back and they're looking to actually increase their staff on a historic level. If you could go to the next slide. The Great Resignation is a little bit deeper than just people wanting to change careers or their jobs or their industry. And we're seeing this across multiple industries. Especially in some of the labor industries of transportation and manufacturing, where if you just take a minute to think back of the beginning of COVID, and we had on one side, we had some white collar workers who have just felt like they've been overworked, underappreciated over the past few years, potentially. They've been working from home, juggling, having to step up to try to save their company, but then also have all those home responsibilities. They have children and pets and all sorts of things around that they have to, that are part of their new work environment. And then the blue collar workers, especially if they were considered an essential business, they were forced to go to work every day. Or they chose to go to work every day to keep their job. So they were dealing with long hours, COVID protocols, furlough, overtime. Just, you can imagine that it can be exhausting after a while. And we have had some manufacturing experts talk about how people are now realizing, hey, you know, that job that was physically demanding was really good money, it was a good career, but I'm going to opt for a lower paying job at a desk that may just be a little bit more comfortable for myself and help me focus on my life outside of work. So these two infographics are really showing the two sides of that. Is that one is, you know, quitting your job if you're feeling like you just have had enough, is you're focused on your well-being, you're focused on, you know, your own values, you don't like the direction the company's going, and for once people are starting to say, I'm not going to stand for that anymore. I'm not going to ignore that just because I'm benefiting from a salary. The other side too is that maybe it's not the company, maybe it's the industry that's toxic. So they're just really, you know, taking the opportunity with the fact that there is a labor shortage, taking the opportunity to say, how do I reinvent myself? How do I reinvent my career and my work life so that I can actually enjoy my home life and my life outside of work in a greater way. So this is a summary of what I was talking about, that, you know, what's happening is that people are taking these reconsiderations. They also are looking too for job security and stability. So it isn't just, hey, you know, I'm leaving this for my, you know, leaving this job or this industry for these reasons. The next job that they want to make sure that it's something where they do feel like they can stay there for a while, or it's something that will survive the pandemic. And for the first time too, some people even at entry-level positions have some non-negotiables where they're really looking for, you know, they feel like they have options. So they're looking at companies and really being a little bit more discerning than candidates may have been in the past. Maybe in the past they were more focused on, I hope this company hires me, and less about, do I want this to be the place where I spend most of my time?
So with all this happening, it's really about how do you stand out, right? How to address the issues, and actually, especially if you have as a goal, whether a CEO or a CHRO or someone who needs to get talent in the door, how do you attract that talent? So one of the things we've learned and we suggest here is to really forget about the job specs, focus on the why. And this obviously derives from our marketing experience. If you apply the marketing principles to attract your talent, you should be able to touch those people and reach your goals. And starting with the basics. So the first one is really about talking to your audience in their own language. So it's very frequent still for us to see that you know, HR ad specs are just very just far away from who they're talking to. The other consideration we suggest is hit the channel your audience is in. So think about where is your audience spending time? Where are your ideal candidates spending? You know, are they browsing? Are they searching for things? Where do they? What hobbies they have? Where do they live? And then talk about your culture more than the job spec. And this is really what's differentiating. It's forgetting about the old school, and I'll say it old school on purpose on this one, because it's really how the formats of ads used to come, or even just a job opening. Focus on the why. So independent of which marketing tactic you choose, this is just an example to show you what, for example, what Amazon is doing. It's instead of trying to attract talent with a full description, job details, qualifications, with, you know, a lot of jobs end up being very similar between each other. It's really touching that aspirational side of, you know, you're building the future with us. Whichever job you're working at Amazon, if you feel that, obviously that compels you to at least have a look, see what they have, and consider them. So this is challenging to do when you're not such a known brand. But if you have those principles in mind, they will help you guide you what the aspirational side or the vision side of your business is that could connect with the people you're trying to reach. So we thought today we would like to spend most of our time actually sharing the real cases that inspired real ideas with you, not with such a big budget as Amazon, but if you have a more rational budget, what could you do to actually touch and be able to just grow your pool of candidates? So let's share a few things we've done recently for some of our clients. So one thing that it's very common to think is, if you're doing the same and expecting different results, that's crazy. So just stop in your rails and think about, what have you been doing in the past? If you've been just adding your job openings on your website, or if you've been doing, using like Indeed or other networks. If you've been doing that, just take note of those and then kind of save that in the drawer and start with a blank sheet and just think, what other channels should I be talking to? If I'm trying to attract young, like college or out of college students, am I trying to attract someone experienced? And am I trying to attract more of a techie profile, someone with software development? Whatever you're trying to look for, think of them and have them in front of you, and then explore what channels they could be in. So are there more, usually experienced professionals would usually be living or at least having a profile on LinkedIn. Facebook, Instagram would kind of touch a lot of other audiences. One where we see results, for example, is Reddit has a very just end user perspective, where people are just asking questions, looking for help, sharing their interests. There's a techie side to it as well. TikTok as a new audience and just starting, but it has advertising tools that you can also use. Twitter. So all of these. And obviously there's a million other places where you could be. These are just some of the most common, adding to all the job boards you currently have. So let's look a little bit of some of these channels and how we've used them to attract talent. So I'll pass this to Elizabeth now.
So one thing that we've done is looked at LinkedIn in a new way. So similar to what Anna was just saying, are we doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results? So in the past, Gravity, for our own job openings, we've always looked at what's called LinkedIn Talent Solutions, and that's the platform that they have, to the paid platform, to be able to post a job, select the audience that you're trying to reach, and then it helps you manage the candidate application. So people can just, what you're seeing on the right side of the screen would be something similar to what people see. A job is being promoted, you can click on it, you can apply to it by either just submitting your LinkedIn application. Clicking that you want your LinkedIn profile to be your application, or you can upload and customize. What we tried differently in the past few months was the LinkedIn sponsored ad. So, if you think back to that Amazon ad that Anna showed earlier, we really wanted a place to say, okay, we don't just want someone to read our job title and our location and, maybe our salary range and select, to apply to our job based on that. There's so much more to our company that we want people to hear about and be excited about. And so what is on the graphic that's on the bottom, if you're not familiar, is what is called a LinkedIn sponsored ad. And that is an ad that goes in the news feed. It looks just like a LinkedIn post, except there's a call to action at the bottom where you can click on it. And so we started exploring with that, because that way we could talk about, we had a campaign called The Great Resignation Destination. Gravity has a unique set of benefits that we feel like really set us apart from working in a corporate environment. We have all these benefits of flexibility that a small business offers, but then we also have a lot of a different culture than working at a traditional ad agency. And so we use this space to get really creative and showcase some of that stuff, talk about what it's like to work here, how you can grow, or the exciting things you might do, and talk more about that and less about what the job description or requirements are. Obviously, someone can see all of that once they click through. So once we've caught them with getting the feeling of what it's like to work here, then we talk more about the specifics of, okay, do you fit the qualifications that we're looking for? And we were actually doing both at the same time. We were doing the sponsored ads and the LinkedIn talent solutions, and we were able to generate a really good group of qualified candidates that was bigger than we had seen in the past year and a half.
So thinking outside of the box on how to use the platform, if you're already using it or not, I'll give it a try. Something else we tried, for example, and we've done this with one of our clients, is thinking of how can you, if you're finding it hard to fill in positions, for example, in the shop floor, and this was a specific example, a specific case. I'm kind of bringing the Lyft's aspirational side and how they kind of broke the market with, ignore the 9 to 5, become a Lyft driver. And this obviously hurt a lot of manufacturing and job floor type of positions, because it's like, well, it's so flexible, right? And I can do it whenever I want. So we tried to bring a bit of the flexibility concept by introducing a gig work concept to break this 9 to 5 mentality, offering truly flexible schedules. So kind of walking through and identifying what are your key needs. For example, if you have to fill how many shifts you have in the company, which ones are key, or which even hours on those shifts would be key for you to have extra help. And this depends obviously on the type of positions you have open. But this allows us to create something new for the company, which is an open pool of candidates just for key schedules that they can obviously manage in a different way than the traditional employee. But that could bring that extra power that they needed for delivering their product, for shipping, for the different parts of the business that needed that extra help. So concept of gig work as something different. A different idea as well from a real case.
Yes. So we had a client who had reached out and said, hey, how can we start incorporating some of the marketing that we do and the advertising that we do to promote job openings? And so we reached out to a lot of different normal advertising or traditional advertising channels in Milwaukee, such as radio and TV and billboards. And we were very surprised and excited to hear that they're used to doing this. They have been helping people come up with creative ways to promote the openings that they have in their company. And one of them in particular, again, this is another manufacturing example, but we certainly have helped with professional services, and this type of thinking can really work for any company. But in particular, the Bob and Brian show they have this feature that they've had for a few years now where it's called On the Job Tour. And they will actually go and they want to run their show, which is, a 4 or 5 hour show on the manufacturing floor. And the cool thing about this that you can look to adapt with other radio station offerings or other types of sponsorship is because the show is located at the company. This is an example. This is not one of our clients. This is an example that I saw from 2017 where Milwaukee Tool was promoting, hey, this show is coming to our location, and this is how they were promoting it to their own audiences on their website. So what they do is they host the whole show from the site, and during the breaks, which would be a normal commercial break, instead they're focused on that company. So they're sharing different tidbits about what's going on. There's also different points in time where they want to do interviews with people within the company. So it's kind of like a radio version of a social media takeover or website takeover, where you're really buying this exposure to this target audience or the specific audience that is already tuned in, that's already a fan of Bob and Brian, and you're able to bring your message about company growth, what it's like to work there, interview different people within the company, and really showcase all of the opportunities and get people excited about, ooh, what would it be like to work there? And maybe I should check that place out. It sounds fun.
So from truly digital to audio to to print to billboard. So all should be on the table when you're starting to consider your options on how to promote. So this is really the time to attract and bring people to see you. Now we also want to kind of talk a little bit about what do you do after, right? How do you stick to your promise?
So this is about this is similar to marketing as well. So what we've done at this point, if we walk through if we think through, visualize what it was like to do all of the things that we just were providing tips on. So we're thinking about what's our value proposition, what is really the benefit to the employee, or what's the excitement what's that picture of having a career at this company as opposed to just the job application, and then using all these untraditional or non-traditional channels to really get the word out, get in front of people, get energy, excitement. Then we land the hire. The first thing we don't want to happen is they quit in a couple weeks because it has nothing, the actual job or the actual culture is really nothing what they were expecting. So we can't be doing a bunch of stuff on the marketing and HR side to bring people in and not have that unfold in front of their eyes, get their excitement, really have them up and running quickly to really help your company, because that's what you ultimately need, are the people in these seats, the right people in the right seats to grow your company. The other thing too is that you want to make sure that the employees that already work there are also seeing that this excitement and seeing the company in the same light. So a lot of it has to do with, first you want to set that plan to ensure that you're creating that connection with the candidates. If you're selling a team environment during job interviews, or you're talking about your commitment to the community, make sure that everyone, this could be an opportunity to say, are we really highlighting this across our entire company? Are we really promoting this as much as we could be, so that people start to see our culture in the way that we see it? The other thing too is that you want to make sure that once people have started, that if they're joining because of a career, feeling like they're going to be able to drive their career in a certain direction or help a company grow, make sure that you have those processes in place to do that. So a lot of that has to do with encouraging career development, continuous education. That could be just encouraging it and maybe covering the cost of it. It could be internal things that you're doing. But it's really making sure that if you have special things that you're highlighting in the promotion of these jobs and in the pitch to get a candidate to actually sign on and become a new hire, make sure that you're following through. This also could be an opportunity to take a new look at your culture, though. So if you're tapping in on the marketing side to the, people have these non-negotiables, they're looking for these types of values, they really want to have this understanding of the company they're signing up for, this culture they're signing up for, and you're coming up with all these cool ads and things that you want to say to get their attention, make sure that is in place. So if you're realizing that there could be some improvement on the culture side that you hadn't thought of before, because now you're really looking at what people want and what they're willing to walk away from, that's a great opportunity to actually start implementing some of those things, start changing some of the flexible scheduling, for instance, or hybrid work environment. If that's really what people need right now, and you care about long-term loyal employees that are in that growth that you need, then just look at everything in a new light and say, how are we really encouraging these employees to blossom?
Ooh, thank you, Elizabeth. So in review, really, what we think is that if you follow sales and marketing principles to attract and retain your talent, you should be good, right? As long as obviously then the product meets the expectations, as Elizabeth was just sharing. So if you promote your job openings like you would promote your product or your service, and you treat your candidates like you do prospects and your employees like your customers, you should be good. So apply those sales and marketing principles to the way you look at talent acquisition. And you should be bringing a new perspective to the way HR or other departments who has this ownership could be dealing with it. Sometimes it's just on the shoulders of a CEO or owner who needs to hire. So kudos to you for trying and for trying to implement something new, for joining us today. We have one last challenge, which we thought, we really believe in acting now, and activity really brings results. This is part of our company culture as an outsourced marketing firm, working with several different businesses. So act now. Our suggestion is to stop in your rails for a few minutes, choose one of your open positions, and try to write what would be your ad. Try to just have a stab at how would you describe who you're looking for, what do you have to offer. And our only hint here is follow what's in it for me. So see it from the perspective of the person you're trying to attract to work on your company. So spend a few minutes today doing this. And if you get stuck, you can send an email, ask for help, reach out. But just stop and have a think about what could I be doing? What could I be saying about my key open position?
Absolutely.
Yes, and we're now open to any questions for Q&A before we wrap up. Also, please use the box you have at the bottom of the screen for the chat box. We have colleagues also helping us, and Nicole is also helping us today. You can also visit our website for our free tools section. We will be releasing a recording of the session, or just emails us directly, Elizabeth or myself. We'll be here for another minute if we have any questions popping.
Anna, we do have a few questions that I've seen. So for remote work, this is kind of new to us. Joe's saying, with your current clients, what do you currently see as a typical spend outside of your normal Indeed kind of marketing?
Oh.
Well, I can tell you for the LinkedIn ads for Gravity, we started with a budget of $200 a month, and we just wanted to see what type of candidates we were getting, and what if we were spending that. Sometimes you just have to have a number in mind and then start those ad campaigns and then see if you're even able to spend that money, or if it's being spent way faster than you expected. Then start looking at the results. We knew that with a job posting that we would probably get a bunch of clicks and job applicants. So our big measurement indicator had to do with, are these actually people who are qualified to even, do they even fit the qualifications that we have publicly stated? And then we took it another level after that to say, are these actually exciting candidates to, if we are spending our $200 a month, is it worth adding to that in order to increase the high quality candidate number that we're getting?
Thank you, Joe, for the question.
One more question here from Mitch. Do you see this as a short term for the job market, or do you guys think this is kind of going to be the normal moving forward?
Big question, hard question to answer. I can take a stab at that one. I see it as continuing, not necessarily the same balance, right, between offer and demand, but as a need for companies to differentiate from each other, right? The same we've seen on the product side of marketing, we're now seeing with people, where people are just becoming a lot more discerning, obviously because there's also more options with all the remote positions opened. The labor force is just so more diverse and in different locations. So to be able to attract that talent and really stand out, you have to do something different. Otherwise, you'll be going through the same pool you were going before. And if you weren't getting results, you're not going to get results doing the same thing. So I think thinking out of the box in this area is key. And one thing we're seeing as a trend already, and that's why we launched this topic as well, is that the marketing side of things, the marketing way of thinking and brains and ideas is being brought in to work with HR more and more, with HR teams, because they really need this extra support and help of how to really attract talent, because before they would have probably enough people submitting their job applications, resumes, but now they don't. So it's really, I think, not just a temporary thing. I really see the collaboration between these areas key moving forward, and I think it's going to be bigger than what currently is even.
Yeah, I think to your point, years ago you may have been able to get a bunch of applications based on your reputation alone, the reputation or the brand recognition that you have. If you're considered a top company within your city, or you're a brand that a lot of people want to work for. And now there's just more, it's going to take more than that for someone to really think through, is this a place that I want to work? And personally, I think it's only a good thing. It's only a good thing to be able to say, me as a potential employee of a company should really be thinking about, is this something that fits in with my whole life, with children I may have to take care of, or parents I may have to take care of? Can I continue in this career and this dedication to this company, even if there are things outside in my personal life that ebb and flow in terms of priority?
If we have more questions, we kind of come up to our time. But thank you so much. If there's anything else that kind of pops out before or after this after this webinar, just ping us an email. And if not, we're looking forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.